Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina,
And I'm Kevin. And
and we are fresh off of the Saudi Arabian
yeah,
Grand Prix
and both in the same country, finally.
and in
So
and
yeah,
in the same
yeah.
country.
I'm actually
For
sitting here with my new buddy Hefe over here.
Hefe.
Yeah, I've named him. I was gonna say Jeff, but it just didn't sound right. Um,
All the way
yeah,
from Mexico, I
all the
guess.
way from Mexico. Yeah, yeah,
Well, we're in the same country for 2 weeks.
because then you're gone.
Then I'm gone,
Yeah.
but we'll still be bringing you live content
Oh yeah.
through all of that. But Saudi Arabia, race number 2. Race 1, little uneventful. Good to be back, but a little uneventful. Race 2, everything. Everything. Actually,
Yeah.
this whole week was everything
Well, yeah, and
and more.
I think I said to you, I hope the on-track stuff kind of. Oh, I didn't think it was going to overshadow, but
Yeah.
at least we have more to focus on the on-track
Yeah.
stuff instead
Yeah.
of just focusing on the off-track stuff, which there was. I mean, you know, I think overall I'd give this race probably like a 3 out of 5 or a 7 out of 10 if you want to be a little more, give it a
I
little
was
bit of a
like,
higher rating,
5.
maybe a 3.5 out of 5. I guess that would be three and a half. Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't overly eventful, but there were some good battles on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The and we'll talk about it, but the battles weren't where we usually see them. They were like the back end of the grid, really.
Yeah, it was everywhere from, because I mean 1 through 4 was, I mean, once Piastri got past Hamilton, it was basically anywhere between 5 and
7.
probably maybe even to 10.
Yeah.
But to 10 really, because I mean, well, we'll get into it, but the whole Haas teamwork.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was an interesting race, but I mean, taking it back to a bit of, I mean, there's the off track drama, but a little bit on off track drama would be Carlos Sainz having to back out of the race after FP2, so free practice 2.
Yeah.
He was apparently running a fever during FP1 and FP2 of like 37 to 39. And being in the desert as well, probably he was like
with an engine on your ass. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was just
perfect conditions for a fever.
Yeah. So then, I mean, that was Thursday, and then, finding out Friday that he had appendicitis this whole time. And it wasn't just food poisoning.
Well, did he not have any like pain? I guess he just thought maybe it was stomach pains, I guess. I mean, he didn't look great. He didn't look terrible.
Pale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he can't look terrible.
He looked like me with a massive hangover. That's basically, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so he has to step out in FP3, and they call up an 18-year-old from FP2 who is their reserve driver, Ferrari's reserve driver, but
just put himself on pole for the F2 race.
Yeah. So I mean, and they're just like, hey, we need you, and so he was 1 hour of FP3 in a Formula One car.
Yep.
And then right into qualifying.
Yep.
Oliver Bierman is his name, so you'll probably see a new name on the grid when you're looking at it.
Another year with at least 21 drivers on the grid, on the points.
Yeah.
Totals.
Yeah.
And Logan Sargent at the bottom again. Probably not going to he's going to be 21 of 21 again this year.
God.
Who knows?
Well, I don't know about those Alpines, but yeah.
We could have a 3-way tie at 0.
Good. Anything's possible.
My goodness.
Anything's possible. But you watched his FP2, Ollie's FP2 qualifying, right? So
yeah. So he put himself. He was obviously very familiar with the track. He was driving it great. I mean, in a car that does probably about 10 to 15 seconds a lap less than an F1 car. So it's a considerable amount of horsepower. But no, he did. He drove it great in that F2 score qualifying. Just edged out the second place P2, which I think was only maybe like 100th of a second or less. Tenth of a second or less. So not by much. But obviously he had some. There was a lot made of him only getting one practice and one qualifying before he got into the race, but he did have his laps around, albeit a little slower, but in F2, right?
In a different car,
yeah. So he had his moments to be familiar with the track at least.
Yeah. I think you could see the difference in the cars and the power in the cars. Sorry, even for him, because when he was in qualifying and going around some of those corners and the braking, and
that Q1 was a little hairy for him because it looked like he was, and maybe that's because of the power of the cars, he can brake a little bit later, and it showed where he was braking a little bit into those corners. He just was locking up, or he had to bail on a lap here and there, just because I guess he wasn't expecting the speed or how quickly or how much force you would need to turn that car. It looked like he wasn't going to get out of that Q3. I'll be honest with you.
No, I didn't think so, and I was like,
Q2,
here we go.
Q1,
and then I mean, he ended up 11th, and just 11th. I mean, he was ahead, or Lewis was ahead of him.
Lewis was ahead of him by 3/100ths of a second or 4/100 seconds, something like that. So basically, just not taking a quarter. As well as you could have. It was close.
It was very close, and I mean, good for you. Your first day in this F1 car. That's not fitted for him. No. It's fitted for somebody else. So, I mean, good on him. Carlos obviously went off to have his surgery, so he was not there.
No.
And I think it would be interesting to see. Again, I think it was just experience. I think maybe Carlos would have had no problems getting into Q3.
No,
but I still think it's showing the cars. The Ferrari car's good this year. It's looking good.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he can put it there and start P11, finish P7, and a car he's very unfamiliar with. I mean, that's more so the car, and him. You can see he's getting used to it as the race went on.
Yeah.
Because he was starting to. I don't want to say pull away, because actually I think Lando would have caught. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But no, I think that it's definitely a good car, especially with Leclerc being third. Basically, it's the best car other than the Red Bulls.
Really, it is. All right. So then, jumping into Saturday, another Saturday race, our last Saturday race for the season, I believe. I don't think we have any. I mean, time zone wise,
officially
maybe we have
a Saturday race. Yeah. Actually, it might be Vegas. Might be another Saturday race again this year, because it was a Saturday night race last year.
Right.
So depending, I think they'll probably keep the same format. But so up until Vegas, probably the last official Saturday race.
Yeah. For a while, we've got a break until December. I guess that'll be, or November. So jumping into the race. Formation lap. We get an Alpine, Pierre Gasly, saying he's got gearbox issues, and they are going the slowest that they can possibly go at this point.
I mean, Max at the beginning must have been fuming. It's just his tires cooling down, and and Gasly's just trotting along. Why wouldn't they just bring him into the pits then? I mean, he tried to make it, but he couldn't even shift at slow speeds.
I mean, you could hear, if you listen back and watch back, like the car just sounds awful. Like, I don't even know how he got there.
I don't mean to make it sound like the memes I've seen all over the internet, but it sounded like a lawnmower. Like it was just putt. Like it was just going around the track.
Just struggling behind
just
everybody.
A John Deere.
Yeah. So, I mean, the race starts. Max takes off well.
Got a really good start. Actually, Checo got a really good start over
Yeah.
Charles. Maybe just a slightly better start off the line,
Yeah.
but I mean,
I
Charles
think it
recovered
was,
pretty quickly.
yeah, there was no collisions. It was a pretty clean start for everybody.
I was surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we hear halfway through that lap, Alpine saying Gasly bring the car in, retiring
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah.
In lap 1. Like, he didn't even complete a lap.
No,
He
straight into the pits. Yeah.
just went all the way back around to
just
go
the
into
most
the pit.
useless little I guess jaunt through the track.
Yeah,
Like, I don't even know.
Just checking it out. Waving to all the fans on the way. I mean, do you even wave though? You just kind of keep your head down.
I'd just cover my face and just walk away.
Yeah. So, I mean, lap 1, again, just going back to Ollie Bierman, he was making moves in lap 1. Like, usually people just settle in, try and figure it out. If they see an opening, they'll take it. But like, you could see he was not afraid of the car that was under him.
No, I think it's still a little more getting used to it as well. Where could he make those? I wonder if those early qualifying laps, like where his braking zone was kind of in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more hesitant to make it in, but he was trying.
Yeah, he was definitely trying. And, a little bit of that back and forth, go slow into a corner or late braking and all of that. But I think he had a good start as well. Bit of controversy after the fact with Lando's jump start.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, George was quick to call that out. I mean, when you're looking,
quick.
When you're supposed to be looking at the lights, he was looking at Lando's tires pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the video, he does move. He does move. I did see the FIA report this morning, and there's a transponder in every car, and their rule is that they follow whatever the transponder says. So it can look like something, but if the transponder doesn't read it,
well, I think the thing also is because he actually came to a complete start after he did jump a bit. Right. So the tires start, for anybody who doesn't know, and we'll get into it next week too.
Yeah.
Your tires start on that yellow line. They have to be on the yellow line, not below, not behind. Well, you can be behind it, but you can't be ahead of it. He did jump start. He did stop, but he also didn't leave his starting box.
Right.
And I think that was that's why there wasn't a penalty on there.
Yeah.
Because he did come to a complete stop. It actually probably hurt him even more.
If anything. And I mean, it's funny when I don't know if you saw his interviews after, and they're, everybody's trying to bring it up, and he's just kind of like he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to potentially implicate himself further after the race. But I mean, I think it was.
I don't think it matters. They decided it. I mean, if they went on back, and that'd be a pretty. Not that we haven't seen shit moves from the FIA before.
Yeah,
but that'd be a pretty shitty move by the FIA.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the lap started happening. By lap 4, Max is ahead by 2.3. I will say this was a close race. Because he never broke that 10-second lead.
No, he always had somebody there.
Yeah, so I mean, it was usually Checo.
Well, there.
Yeah. But it shows that it's not just Max's car, and maybe Checo's car or he's getting better in the car, and figuring it out too.
Well, let's not forget. I mean, Max never. Street circuits aren't always Max's best. He's better on laps on regular tracks. Yeah, Checo is a street lap king, I guess.
Yeah,
or whatever you want to call it. He does like those street tracks.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that who knows what the difference is, but it could be where Max is just I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna play it as little risk as possible, especially in a place where you're guaranteed at least a safety car. They've had a safety car every year. It's only been 3-4 years. This is the 4th one. Better to just play it safe than possibly take yourself out.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, I think we saw the lead early, but that's not uncommon. Like 2.3 seconds ahead, not uncommon. And he wasn't, again, flying away from anybody.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's like, you saw that he could, because when Lando takes that lead in what lap is that? That was after the safety car.
It's after the safety car.
Yeah,
so
it's after
like
the safety car because he stayed out. That's right.
Yeah.
So we have that, which we'll get into the safety car. But when Max comes at him, he keeps winning that DRS. No, actually, Lando pulls away of the DRS before DRS is enabled.
Yeah.
And you think, oh well, maybe he's not going to be able to get it. But then within another 2 laps, once he actually starts pushing, he's on Lando's tail and he's got him and he's gone. Yeah. So I don't think he was really pushing to his full potential throughout the whole race. He could have been,
probably not.
He could have been 10, 12, 15 seconds ahead, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just chose not to. I mean, we've got to talk about the safety car situation. Stroll clips a wall on his left. Yeah,
on his front left.
And then kind of just goes straight off.
You
can see the wheel.
He breaks the suspension. Yeah.
And so he goes right into the wall on his own. Nobody else was around. Didn't hit anybody else.
Straight.
But it created, I think, the funniest.
It'll probably be the best radio of the year.
Yeah. It was just hilarious.
For anybody who didn't see it, he clips the wall. He says he hit the wall. I'm okay. His engineer comes on the radio and says, Lance, can you bring it home? Or can you bring it back in? He says, no, I hit the fucking wall. The smartest answer Lance has ever given in an interview or anything.
Yeah.
So good on him for that. But can't these engineers, his wheel is facing the wrong way?
Completely.
At what point does it sound like he can bring it in? Is he going to push it in himself?
Yeah.
Is he going to strap it to his back and just carry it over?
Just carry it. It was just pure comedy, really. And again, can they not see that he has into the wall?
I want to know what Lawrence Stroll said to that engineer. Right. Not because it's his son or anything, just the embarrassment of we look like fucking fools.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Can you bring it in? Are you watching this? Everybody else saw it. Yeah.
So, I mean, where it was, I was a little, maybe not shocked. I thought it was going to be a red, because of the debris. His front wing looked like it was on track, but it wasn't in pieces. So maybe that.
Yeah, it was more so. Red, yeah.
So it didn't have to do that much cleanup, but
he was I guess going at a safety car pace, everybody could navigate that corner a little bit better. So I don't think it would be that bad as long as there weren't too many pieces. You're right.
Yeah.
So it was good that there was only the safety car, but then that gives us the, that decision where now we have a disaster in the pit lane because I think it was
everybody
17 drivers. Sorry, not Lance and not Gasly. So we had 15 drivers come in.
Everybody except Lewis and Lando
and Hulk.
Oh, Hulk didn't go. Yeah, that's right. Because
so they all stayed out on their mediums.
Yeah.
And so that's how Lando takes his lead.
Yeah, I think Red Bull had a really good double stack of a pit stop for under the safety car. With Checo right behind him, it's not like they had a car in between and they both called them in and they were on.
It had to be perfect. No, it had. It was 0.3 seconds later, I mean, Checo's dead stopped.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of happened with Charles, right? So he got stuck by, he had to wait for, I think, 2 or 3 cars to go before they could release him.
Yeah, and that was more so just traffic. Well, and they released Checo. They should have.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to. I mean, because it was not Lando. Sorry, Piastri came in, and right behind Piastri was Alonso. And there was not a car's width between them.
No, not at all. But strategically, knowing your car can probably get that 5-second penalty distance.
Oh, yeah.
Was it worth it? Absolutely. Dangerous.
Well,
but worth it in the end.
Worth it as long as you don't crash and take both cars out. I mean, could you imagine if they actually had touched and they're stopped there and they can't move for some reason because another suspension is broken.
Yeah.
That's Aston Martin with the second car out. That's everybody behind them now stopped in the pit lane till they get it out.
Pit
That
lane
completely
accident.
throws everything off.
That's a red flag. The whole everything's done at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the disaster that could have been of the pit lane during that safety car. I mean, we had those near misses, but
everybody
overall, pretty good.
Everybody other than Red Bull played nice. They waited for traffic. They did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So like you said, Charles had his 8-second pit stop.
Yeah. But it was just the traffic of letting people through.
I think we had, was it or was it later on? Zhao had a terrible pit stop.
Later on,
another 30-second pit stop where they're having problems with the nuts or something wasn't working.
Yeah.
Stake just can't get it together with their pit stops.
No, they cannot. Yeah. So I mean, then we pick back up, and Lando is our race leader. He didn't pit, so that is obviously going to keep him at the front. And everybody was kind of like, okay, well, we've got the safety car. Max's tires are warmed up now, or ish. His new tires are warmed up. How is Lando going to do this? And even the McLaren pit walls on the radio talking to him like, we need you to do X, Y, and Z. And he's like, well, how do you want me to do that?
Preserve the tires. That's what he wanted. How do you expect me to preserve my tires when I've got a Red Bull on my ass?
Yeah, with fresh tires.
Yeah.
So, but I will say it looks like when the safety car went in, Lando did time it perfectly because I don't think Max was expecting him to take off when he did.
No.
Not that he was sleeping or anything, but it just. When he took off, he took off. And he was able to create some distance. I said I had him noted as lap 12. He was ahead by 1.3. So breaking DRS, creating that little bit of space with Max. We know the inevitable is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think that I think Max could have caught him probably on that second lap around, especially when he had DRS. I think he was just trying to warm up his tires a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lando did put up a fight. He did defend really well.
Yeah.
Give him a car that can go like the Red Bulls. I think he got a better chance, right? But he was defending that Red or those corners really well. Once they got into that straight, it was all over. Yeah. But
we did hear from Alonso and Hamilton that both of them, so this is also two different teams, concerned, complaining, whatever, of the speed of those McLarens and what those McLarens are putting together. So I think I'm confident with my predictions of Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren. I
had the same. I didn't.
I feel like I'm pretty confident in that, and it's going to be the Aston Martin and Mercedes fighting towards the end of the season. But it's only race 2.
Which yes, it is only race 2. But I mean, if for some reason they're both. Is McLaren a Mercedes customer? I think they are.
I don't know. Now that
or do they make their own? I can't remember. Aston Martin certainly is. So to be there and to be a Mercedes customer on a Mercedes engine, and you're getting beat out, or you can't completely destroy your customers, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for where you used to be. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what evolves with them for the rest of the season. But lap 12 is when we see Ollie, who started in 11th. He overtakes Joe.
Yep.
And gets into the points. So at this point, it's like, okay, this kid's driving this car. He's got his head down. He's just driving. He's doing what he needs to do. All within the same time, we're getting the notification of Checo getting that 5-second penalty for the unsafe release.
Yep.
K-Mag gets 2 10-second penalties almost back to back.
And I thought it was a glitch because I saw
Yeah.
that 10-second penalty. I saw where it was, and then
Yeah.
I can't remember. I was making the kids lunch or something, and I
Yeah.
looked back and I just see that penalty thing pop again, K-Mag
Yeah.
again, 10 seconds. I'm like, didn't they just show this? But it was for another thing.
Yeah.
And I made that comment to you that he's now the Ocon of the 2024 season.
Honestly. So the first one was for causing a collision with Albon, and then the second one was leaving the track and gaining a position.
Yeah.
I mean, within like what, 2 or 3 laps that this all happened?
Something
like,
pretty close. Yeah.
So, I mean, that changes his entire race because now he's going to be behind by 20 seconds. And
Which I don't know that I don't know that Haas with Gunther makes that call that they switch his strategy to be, instead of, okay, there's no way you're getting in the points, we're helping Nico out.
That's true. I would agree with you. I'm not sure. And I mean, in the end, it helped the team. It really did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It worked. So what they did worked. And the first really good team play, I think, that we've seen from any of the teams.
Yeah.
Where you just
for anybody that didn't watch. For anybody who didn't watch or didn't see it, K-Mag gets his 20 seconds in total penalty. He would have dropped from, at the end of the race, I think he went from 11th to, I think it was 17th or something. That's how close that pack was there. But they switched the strategy. You're going to get in that 11th. Nico's in 10th. And you're going to just do your best to preserve his lead. You're going to back up that pack. You're going to build a lead for him. And you're going to race till you're 11. You just keep everybody behind you.
Yeah.
Right. And he was fine with it. And he was great with it. It was amazing. Yeah.
I mean, he allowed Nico to get an awesome pit stop and come out in front of everybody else. And he just was in the spots that people couldn't get around, and he would slow down when he needed to slow down and speed up and just really piss people off.
If there was like an offensive and a defensive team on an F1, he would be a Super Bowl caliber defense.
Honestly, like it was insane. I mean, I would love to hear the radios of not even talking to the team, of like, when you're in your car and you just get like road rage moments and you're just like, fuck off. Like I would love to hear
complaining when somebody's like half a tenth slow, and like they must have been going nuts.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I think that was from like what, 12 to 16 was that group of just trying to fight each other. And this is, I think I said it at the beginning, is there was lots of battles, but this battle was at the back of the grid. 12 to 16, there's no points there, but it was really good racing. Really good.
Screwed up people talent. Like Sonoda. Like Sonoda was trying to get past K-Mag again, and he tried to get past him, and now all of a sudden he's down 2 places because he opened himself up to the guy behind him. That's how close this pack was.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would have loved to listen to Sonoda's radio
just all day. Just going
on repeat. It's on my Spotify. It's just,
honestly. So what else did we have? We had I think I made this comment to you, but maybe we just didn't hear a lot of the radio, but we saw Lewis doing what Lewis does, and driving and defending. And like, it really, I thought yesterday, I think they actually said it on TV, was a masterclass. He was showing a masterclass of defending. And it was like, sometimes when you stop complaining about track limits and stop complaining about everything else in the car and just
he was working hard. He was
working hard.
Piastri was coming at him. Piastri had probably 3 or 4, and like it was always in the same corner trying to make that same pass, and Lewis would just let him get close and then just take it back away. And he must have been giving Piastri fits, like, how do I pass this guy?
Well, and then Piastri would pass him and then kind of mess up, or like he would lock up in a corner.
He would take that too far. He would late break and lose it, and especially coming out of like the high speed straight, because he had him in the high speed straight several times. And then he just couldn't. And then you'd see him, he'd go off track and immediately give that place back because he knew he was going to have to give it back. Which, I mean, if they had done the Red Bull thing, he might have been able to get 5 seconds ahead. Oh no, it's a 10-second penalty now. So who knows?
10-second penalty.
Yeah.
So,
But K-Make.
yeah.
Which apparently the drivers fought for. It used to be, it was a 5-second penalty last year. They had their winter meetings or whatever it was, and the drivers fought for stiffer penalties on that because it was too easy to gain that 5-second advantage.
And I mean,
after that, so it's really not a penalty,
right? Now they're like kicking themselves.
Yeah, clearly.
Maybe we should switch it back. But one thing that I thought was kind of strange was just Bottas sitting in 18th pretty much the entire race.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing happening there. You know, Stake had that horrendous pit for Joe. That's 2 races in a row with 30-second plus pit stops. And for everybody that doesn't know, pit stops are like 3 seconds, and that's too much. Like,
well, yeah. So, I mean, other than a driver's ability and the aero of your car, pit stops are probably the third most important part of a race.
Right.
Like getting that right. I mean, that really screws up. You go 2 seconds too long. Yeah. If you go to a 5-second pit stop and it screws up somebody's whole race.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you just completely get rid of your pit crew and start over? Or
yeah, or they just need to stay all weekend and just practice this on and off.
Oh yeah. That's like you make them do suicides. Like when a team's not doing well, they're running until they're puking. They're doing suicides until they're dead. So you're just gonna keep them there all day, all night. You get into, well, they got 2 weeks, right? You bring them into Australia 3 days early, and you run pit stops for 6 hours a day. Just
take the tire off, put it back on.
Yeah.
But so he was just kind of Bottas was cruising in 18th. We'll see what that's all about. I don't know if it was the car or just the battle in front of him. I don't know. It didn't.
Last week they looked like they might have some potential, and this week they just looked like
bored.
Yeah, like nothing. Like
I mean, Alonso, I don't know what's changed with Alonso over the years, and maybe it was the change of going to Aston Martin. He seems like a guy that's going for the fastest Sunday drive he could.
Yeah.
But like he sounds like he's enjoying himself. Like even when you listen on the radio, he's saying, geez, those McLarens are fast or what have you. But he's also like, oh, just kissed the wall. Sorry about that. Like he's just so.
But he's got battles now. It's not like he was an Alpine and he hated the atmosphere. He hated the team. He hated Ocon. So he's getting a nice paycheck where he is now, and he's got a car that can fight. You know, maybe it's not the best car, but he can fight for the best of the midfield.
Yeah. But he just seems quite content with what happens. And I mean, as long as he's not finishing out of the points, I think he's going to be very happy. Like I said, it's like he's just going for a Sunday drive at 295 kilometers an hour.
It's easy. Yeah, no problem.
no big deal. Yeah. Getting towards the end of the race, lap 44, we see Checo. If you had mentioned this as well, but we start to see the distances between the drivers. But it's not just like everybody. It's not Max and then everybody. It was like Max.
There's quite a distance.
Yeah, Max is 7 seconds ahead of Checo, and then Checo
where they finished
12 seconds ahead of Charles.
And Charles was 12 or 13 seconds ahead of Piastri.
So it was weird.
Yeah.
But hey,
especially
Max,
for that track.
Yeah. Max was lapping up to 13th, I believe it was.
Did he get that far?
Yeah. Because they said he made it through that group.
Yes, because he just passed an RB.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
He had just made it through that group who couldn't get past each other.
Yeah.
But and then, those last, I think it was 5 laps of we had Ollie in.
It was a little more.
7.
I think I remember it was 7 or 8 laps left, and they had put out that graphic that Lando would be in
Lando could
striking
catch him.
distance
Yeah.
he would be in striking distance in 4 laps. So he's around like that 7, 8, 9 laps left. Which he was catching. I think he was about 6 seconds behind at that point.
Yeah.
Got to somewhere by like 3.5 seconds behind. So he probably could have.
Yeah.
But again, Lewis just messed both McLarens up.
Yeah. So he's like Lewis and Lando. It forced Lando to back off of his fight to get to
he
Ollie.
had to focus on defense more than pushing.
And just kind of keep him off. But that was a really good fight to see. It allowed Ollie, because Ollie was 5 seconds behind who was in front of him? George. Yeah. So like it allowed him to just breathe. But even on the radio, he was like, how fast can we go? Is this the fastest pace that we could go? So he was really trying.
I think it was more so comparing to Russell, but Russell knows the track. You're not going to catch him. You need a lot more to catch him there.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, if there was 10 more laps, it would be very interesting to see what would happen between Ollie, Lando, Lewis, how that would switch up. But I mean, with only, like you said, 5-7 laps left. I mean, the race in general, Max won, Checo second, Charles third.
Daniel was nowhere. Other than him spinning out near, like, was it the last 10 laps or something like that? Where he had a little bit of a spin and got back on track. I mean, he's been non-existent for the last 2 races. It's not. We all thought that. I mean, I thought for sure that he would be eventually, if not mid of the year, at least by the end of the year, promoted to that Red Bull, and he's not showing that. I mean, if he can't beat his own teammate, what makes him? I mean, the only person that's going to get him in there is Christian Horner, so maybe that's his saving grace. But if he's not fast, he's not fast. I don't know.
No, and he's not making. Even if he's slow, we can blame it on the car. He's not making moves to even show. No. So we'll see. I have a bit of an unpopular opinion.
Okay, let's hear
it. We know Lewis is a champion. Lewis is a 7-time world champion. Really good at what he does. And I don't want to take anything from him. But does he just not have it anymore?
I think he does.
Just no... Or do you really think it's the car?
Yes. Yes and no. I think it might be the car. I think it might be his attitude right now. Not that he's got an attitude, but you know what I mean? Just the way he's viewing his last time in the team. I don't think he views it as a championship car. So I don't think he's driving like a champion. I mean, you see it now when he's got a little bit of a fight. I think you put him in that Ferrari. I think you got a way better chance, or you put him in a Mercedes that can compete. And he's at least fighting Checo. I don't
because I'm seeing towards the end there was a pickup towards the end of last season, but I mean he's finishing further down. Like he's finishing in the 7s and 8s and stuff. So it's not even like he's finishing 3rd and 4th. And
when you see that George can put 2 5s together in that car,
so that's where my unpopular opinion is. Like, does he just not have it anymore?
Yeah, no, I just don't think I don't know. I think there's still a little bit of that. If I'm not in the championship winning car, I'm not like. I don't know how to phrase that, because when you put him in a championship car and you had to fight like Nico, right? Like he was driving the hell out of that car.
Yeah.
I think you can still get that as long as he's got that fight, as long as he's got something to work for. I think he doesn't have anything to work for now.
Right.
Because he knows he's not winning his 8th in this one. I think you will see a resurgence in Lewis. Because I mean, you see it with Alonso too, right? When in the Alpine, he looked like crap. He looked like dog shit.
Yeah.
Put him in a car that can move a bit, and you really see that talent, right? And where he can navigate a track, where he can fight, where he can show other drivers that maybe aren't as talented as him, show where the potential in that race is.
Yeah, I did see a comment this morning that he, after the race, they're interviewed by 1,001 people. And he was asked about Red Bull's dominance. And it was the first time that he kind of gave like a nod to them. And he said, listen, there was the Schumacher years. There were my years at Mercedes, and I just think it is how it is. And right now it's Red Bull's years. Didn't say anything about Max.
See, because you've watched Drive to Survive, and Toto made the same comments where he said it was our years, there's Schumacher, and now it's Max.
Yeah.
Right.
So he didn't say anything about Max, but it's true though. Like there's these cycles of it goes through where someone just figures it out, and we are going to see the change. Like Red Bull really only has this year and 2025.
Yeah.
Because once that engine changes in 2026,
everything's thrown into a blender, and who knows who makes the best interpretation of the rules and the technical designs and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So, but no, that was just my little unpopular opinion.
Speaking of 2026, sorry, go on. No,
I was just gonna say the last thing. Ollie, we said he finished 7th. We're going to throw up driver of the day. We're going to throw up a bit of a graphic just kind of talking about how physical Formula One is, and how much faster the cars are, the
G-forces,
so you'll see that his head basically dented his car.
Just the bouncing around back and forth, taking those corners. I mean, when you're taking some of those high-speed corners, and there are a lot of them on this track, I mean, your head's just flying everywhere, unless you've done the necessary
training
neck strength training. And
and so he did, like, he was interviewed and he said he feels absolutely destroyed. So poor kid's probably
and that's on adrenaline. He's not moving.
Wait till he like wakes up this morning. He's just like stiff in bed. But anyways, so 2026. You were saying.
I did see that there are reports that Audi's doing a complete takeover of the Sauber team in 2026. So are they just not going to be? Are they going to be Audi stake kick? Will there be a Sauber? I guess there's not going to be a Sauber at all. It'll just be Audi and kick out the other two sponsors.
I would hope so. Get rid of
But then we're probably going to get rid of that green, which is kind of disappointing.
But then I'm assuming Audi will go red. I mean, that's kind of the pictures that they've shown so
red,
far.
Black, silver.
Yeah. So maybe, hopefully it's just not another bright car. But or
you mean like just a carbon fiber car? That too.
Just with a red stripe down the back of it. But I did see that. So, and I mean, I think we kind of talked about it previously too. That's Carlos Sainz Sr. has got big money into that Audi deal. So,
and he's been sponsored by Audi. When he still races in does the rally racing, doesn't he?
Rally racing,
He's still sponsored by or drives an Audi or something like that. So he still has lots of ties there with the Audi team.
Yeah. So will his son go there? Probably, if he's in charge, or
maybe. I did see. So I was watching a little bit of the F1 broadcast beforehand. I don't know if you had caught it. They did play same thing like we're doing. Where's everybody going in 2025? They seem to think that Sainz might end up in Aston Martin, with Alonso going to Mercedes, that empty Mercedes seat.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I saw a clip this morning of Carlos Sainz Sr. and Carlos's manager, who's also named Carlos, and his cousin. There's
also Carlos Sainz in the PGA Tour.
Right. And then they were coming out of the Mercedes paddock. And having a meeting with Toto. So
I mean, at this point, Toto's having a meeting with half the world,
with everybody. I think we also I also saw.
I mean,
and I saw a clip of Charles arriving with the team principal of steak. And I'm like, they're trying to surmise something. And I'm like, we have to remember they're all really friendly with each other.
Well, and they all have relationships from their
right.
different levels of
Yeah.
racing, right? It's
Yeah.
not just like this one person is just in F1.
Yeah.
They've gone through karting, they've gone through F2. Some of these teams have teams in both. They've been,
Yeah. So
they
they all
have some
know
kind of
each
relationship,
other.
or their managers have,
Yeah.
like.
A lot of them live in Monaco. A lot of them live in Italy. So like they're all very close.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
very common to see Toto out with Charles. Like
yeah,
they just all live close to each other. So
yeah.
it is a business, and although it's a big business, it's a small business. So I think a lot of these meetings that we're seeing could just be, hey, come by for a coffee. Like
It could be that.
it could be a business,
frankly,
but
it could be due diligence too. Like, let's
yeah,
put feelers out there. Where are you with
yeah,
this? Or, how are you feeling for next year? Or
yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
I mean, these talks are going to go on every day.
Yeah.
So until somebody else is signed.
Yeah.
Which, going back to that driver little mismatched thing they did, they also had Antonelli going to Williams because they are a Mercedes customer, which would mean Logan's gone. Daniel going to Red Bull.
Logan's gone.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Daniel going to Red Bull, and then they had Kimi Antonelli at Haas and Liam Lawson back in F1.
I saw Liam.
Which would make
Lawson.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Liam, which is still, I would still consider him a rookie, but it would be 3 rookie drivers in F1 next year. If they're right. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's all just
it's all speculation.
Fantasy and fun.
Yeah. And I mean, I saw, talking about even Ollie Bierman. He's probably too young still, like he still has time, but people online were kind of saying, everybody was so proud of Nick DeVries when he did what he did and came, like when he did the he stepped in for somebody, I think had a same kind of medical, and
he was in the Williams,
yeah, and he had a great drive, and the comparison, does it work? I mean, at the time, Nick had already had this great career and a lot of stuff behind him. He wasn't in F1, but
F2, Formula E, yeah.
Right, and he had already had the championships in those, where Ollie doesn't have anything yet.
Yeah, you're also looking at it, 18 versus a Nick DeVries was 27?
27 or 28,
something like that.
So, I mean, without anything, the kid was able to get 7th. Was he in a faster car than Liam was in, or that Nick was in? Yeah, he is. But he still drove
Nick DeVries was also a reserve driver that year that he jumped in the car, wasn't he? So he was still doing sim time and all that stuff. I mean, Oliver Bierman just basically, he was doing F2 and he just showed up.
Yeah.
So I mean, give credit where credit's due. Yeah. And I think that he's also got more points in one race
in F1
than DeVries had his however many races he's done.
Yeah.
So,
and I did see another graphic that Ollie has more points in F1 currently than he has in his own F2 season. So
oh yeah
good for him.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that was Saudi Arabia. Again, more drama, more stuff happening.
Max, do we really want to get
no, I was gonna say Max.
We've
there's no need to get into all the off track drama. It's all speculation anyways at this point. But I was just going to say, Max has never won 2 of his first of the 2 races of the season.
Yeah.
He's never won them back to back. And yesterday was his 100th podium. He's also the
only driver to win 9 in a row twice.
Yeah. And he was asked, he's had 188 races or something.
I did see this.
He was asked if he's had 188 races, 100 podiums. How does it feel? And he says, well, it's, 88 lost podiums. Like, it's just such a Max answer.
very dry, very like
yeah. But I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. We gave it to Lewis at the time. We gave it to Schumacher at the time.
Yeah.
You know, Schumacher had his villain era. Lewis had his villain era. I think everybody goes through it.
I don't even see this as Max's villain, or I think everybody's just tired of it, and because he's
Yeah.
you don't see him, you don't talk to him, you don't you don't hear his radios. It's just okay, tires are sliding a bit. I'll see you in 20 laps.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just he's just a name on the grid, and nobody pays attention to him anymore.
Yeah. I think he's actually coming out of his villain era. So I think that 2021 season, you could be a little. You could say that was his villain era, but I think he's like calmed down. He's funny. He's not driving people off the road anymore.
Well, put him in some battles. We might get that again. I'm sure we will.
I feel like a lot of people just like they see him in their rear view and they're like, okay, excuse me, just let him.
There's no point. Yeah. Well, there's no point. They know they can't keep up with that car. They're going to preserve their tires a little bit because they know get a different battle that they can actually try to win.
It's a dumb fight for sure. But yeah, what else you got? What else do we have?
Sorry, you cut out there for a sec.
Oh.
That's right. We'll cut that out, or we'll keep it there.
We'll keep it. Yeah. What else do we have for Saudi Arabia?
I don't believe we have much else. I mean, there were some battles. There were some good things.
Yeah.
Other than that, there wasn't really a whole heck of a lot.
No, I think you're right. I think it was a solid 7 out of 10 race.
Yeah. Some good battles on track. Not a lot of drama. So before we go, because we started this last week, your fresh set of the day.
My fresh set of the day would be, I don't know. Oh, Charles getting a podium. Come on.
Okay, for you, that's
Charles got to get a podium. I mean, I will say, your wife messaged me and she just wrote Charles with the heart eyes. I'm like, I know.
She was watching his interviews and she's like, oh my God, he's so cute. And I'm like, Jesus, like, can you just watch somewhere else?
I mean, it's not wrong. Charles on a podium.
Because it was part of him talking about Oliver Bierman and how he was and his drive, and she was almost in tears. Yeah, but she cries a lot. So, don't listen to this.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I think he speaks really well about all of his teammates, like even about Carlos and stuff. But he gives a lot of credit to his teammates. So
yeah,
he's just a sweet guy.
I mean, well, we think he is. We don't know.
I mean, that's my delusion.
Maybe he's killing kittens in his spare time. Who knows?
Oh no, he would never.
That's what everybody who knows a serial killer says. Yeah, not my neighbor.
No. What's yours? What's your first of the day?
I kind of want to pick two.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it? Okay. Yeah. I mean, the easy one is Lance Stroll's radio.
True.
That was easily my favorite moment of the game. The race.
Yeah.
The race was Lance Stroll just basically telling his engineer he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And then the other one would be Lewis's defense. It was great to see. I really enjoyed that defense on Piastri, and is just fighting with McLaren. Just his whole drive. I think he had a really good drive. Not where he needed to be, or I thought maybe where he should have been, but just the car's not there. So, but just to see Lewis do that, I think that was my second fresh set.
Yeah. Happy to just see him again, just battling, driving, doing what he's getting paid to do.
Well, I get paid lots to do.
Gonna be getting paid a lot more soon, but
jeez.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and his seat worked this week. Sorry,
his seat did work. There
Yeah,
wasn't.
yeah.
They fixed it in time.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say before we end off here, next week we are doing our Formula One 101 101 episode.
Yeah, no race next week. It is
Yes, there is no race.
No. So we are going to entertain you other ways.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Wait, that sound good?
Yeah. So
wait till you see what I'm wearing.
You have? Oh God. Whatever questions you guys have about Formula One, send them in through Instagram, YouTube comments, Twitter, yeah,
Spotify comments, anything,
yeah,
anywhere you can get a hold of us. DM us, let us know if there's anything specific that you're confused about.
Yeah,
like why do they have 13 different flags in F1? But we'll get into that, so you don't have to ask the question. We'll talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, whatever you've got, whatever you can think of, anything you've been watching that you don't know, especially coming from if you are a Drive to Survive fan and you don't know all the rules yet, where we were and we just Googled furiously. But we will try to help you out with that, so you don't have to go through the pain of what we went through. Yeah, and try to interpret all this crap.
Don't ask us about aerodynamics, or ask I know Kevin. Ask
air.
Kevin only.
Air goes over things, and some people do it better than others.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The explanation on aerodynamics.
Answer.
Yeah.
Answered and solved.
Yeah.
I should just, you know what? They can replace Adrian Newey with me.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, again, you can always find us on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music,
Instagram.
Fresh
the biggest
Set
one.
Podcast.
Come on.
Yeah.
Fresh Set Podcast. Yeah. Anywhere you can search that, you can find us.
And we will see you guys next week.
Yep. Grab a Fresh Set.
All right. Bye.